important is the teachings that they provide for us in their journey to serve their spiritual master and serve the mission of Lord Chaitanya. Vapu Vani. And in the modern ISKCON movement, it appears that Vapu has become more important than Vani, than words, even though this is a spiritual science based on sound. For example, the way that you make advancement in Krishna consciousness is through sound, through chanting. You don't see the form of Krishna, even though you're given the explanation that God is different than his, non-different than his holy name. So when you chant the holy name, Krishna is present there in sound. This is a transcendental understanding of our philosophy. This is the nature of the soul, Balaram. We are the spiritual energy that drives the body. So in the same way, through sound vibration, our consciousness can be elevated through the chanting of the holy names. And by hearing the message of Krishna consciousness from the lips of the pure devotee, spiritual master, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. This was a lesson that we learned in the very early years of our training in the 70s on how to serve the spiritual master. It was by his instructions, not by his personal presence. Sure, it was good for some of the devotees to be able to serve Prabhupada personally, but that was also very dangerous, extremely dangerous. And as we see, as time has revealed, a lot of these people that in the beginning of the mission in 1965, 66, 67, etc., fell into the trap of familiarity breeding contempt. And this destroyed them spiritually. Arrogance. Oh, he's not very smart. Oh, he's made so many different mistakes. I'm a very smart American. We all know that expression. So I don't want to target Americans, but it was them. And it was their contamination, their ego, their contempt for the spiritual master that came about after his departure. And it perpetrated into this whole idea that you need, falsely brainwashing people into thinking that you needed a living guru in the form of a kanishta, if you're lucky, adhikari, to become shiksha guru. Complete nonsense. And this has just been spreading like a cancer in our spiritual disciplic succession. It's pathetic, absolutely pathetic. And when we're reading about the glorious adventures of Srila Prabhupada, his journey from India on the steamship, Jaladuta, his sacrifice in arriving in New York City in September 19th, 1965, a date I'll never forget, mainly because it's also the date of my birthday, but not to be arrogant, but it's obviously impregnated in my mind. September 19th, 1965, Prabhupada arrived in New York with no money, no real connection with anyone here, sort of a loose invitation from Agarwal in India for his son in Butler, Pennsylvania, to accept him on a short-term visa into America to begin the instructions of his spiritual master to preach Krishna consciousness to people completely in Maya. Total illusion. Nothing's changed much, in a sense, but the adventure goes on, and hopefully we can go to the reading of the diary. Vinkat Bhatta, did I read from Sunday the 15th forward? Or did it go to Tuesday the 17th? I can't remember.
Read the 17th.
I think you're right. Thank you, Prabhu. So I wanted to show first the handwriting, if you could again, please, just so everyone can see the handwriting of Srila Prabhupada, the authenticity of the diary. And at the same time, we get a blessing by seeing the way he meticulously wrote this description of how he was traveling on the Jaladuta in the diary that was given to them in the boat. So take a look here. This is quite fascinating. Look at this, eh? This is just incredible. I mean, it's very hard to read, especially from the screen here. But it's like a transcendental message from Krishna through his bona fide representative. The bona fide, this is the point, the bona fide representative is considered to be as good as God. He is not God, but he's speaking on behalf of the Supreme Person. And Prabhupada revealed this so beautifully in all of the books that he produced for us that we are now studying, especially this evening, the wonderful Caitanya-caritāmṛta. And now let's go to Tuesday, August 17th. So Prabhupada's on the boat, and we're going to read down the 17th, 18th, and 19th of August. So he's and it goes, Today morning, the sky is scattered with cloud. The ship is going towards the western side. I feel a little bit well after passing my stool. The ship is running against wind current. The sea is a little rougher. At 10:30, we saw the south coast of Ceylon with a white lighthouse. 2 ships passed from the opposite side. Some daring fishermen were fishing in small boats. From distance, they appeared to be almost drowning in the water. But next moment, they appeared to be safely working. There is sunshine, but the sky is not clear. The captain informed me that by the next 6 hours, we shall reach Colombo port. The hilly southern Ceylon coast is said to be 4 to 5 miles away from our ship. This means the fishermen were fishing in small boats 5 to 10 miles away from their native coast. That's quite a distance. 5 to 10 miles away. Very dangerous. Oh, here Prabhupada says it here exactly. Certainly a very daring job. At about 2 p.m., we have now turned towards northern front. The sky is cloudy, but we are forwarding steadily. Today I'm better than other 3 days. It was a rough ship. At 3 p.m., the Colombo city became faintly visible from the ship. Amazing. The color of water in the Indian Ocean is different from that of the Bay of Bengal. The ship reached exactly at 4:30 in the port, but the management of Colombo port could not receive the ship for want of berth, and then it is anchored on the shore waiting to enter the port. At about 9 p.m., the ship was escorted by the pilot, and we entered the dockyard, very old pattern, but there were many ships from various countries, including passenger and cargo ships. Imagine the scene. Huh? Prabhupada beholding this adventure. across the sea to America. At night, the dockyard ships assumed a brilliant spectacle in account of profuse light. We rested the whole night, the ship being anchored. Next morning, barges loaded with goods arrived near the ship. Wednesday, August 18th, 1965. Today, 18/8/65, I felt quite normal, and the seasickness completely removed. The ship remained silent the whole day on account of hazy day, and only a few loads of goods were admitted. I wanted to see the Colombo City, but I could not make any arrangement. The ship was standing in the midstream, and I did not like to go alone. Tuesday, the 19th. The next morning, 19/8/65, I informed my situation to Captain Pandya, and he was very kind to take me to the shore in a motor launch. We dropped at English Gate, talked with some Ceylonese clerks, and then in a taxi, we went off to the office of Narottam and Pierre Company. The managers, Mr. Banka, was a Gujarati gentleman, and he received us as well. So we'll continue on Saturday and read this 19th day passage and the 20th and 22nd of August. In 1965, as Srila Prabhupada embarks on his adventure to spread Krishna consciousness throughout the world. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. We're going to move forward with the next part of our program, which is the reading and discussion of Caitanya-caritāmṛta from the unedited, unadulterated books written by Srila Prabhupada without the touch or the hands of his arrogant disciples that decided to disobey his orders and change them. The bunch of fools, the ship of fools. And then we'll have the kirtan, the bhajan, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, and then the discussion and reading with Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu from California, explaining these verses to us in a most miraculous way. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Let's see if it works, Venkat, your video.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Yaśodā-nandana Dāsa Yaśodā-nandana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yaśodā-nandana Dāsa. Yaśodā-nandana Dāsa. Yamuna Tira Banachari. Yamuna Tira Banachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Founder-Ācārya. Jaya Radha Madhava Founder-Ācārya. Jai Amuspa Paramahansa Parivrajagācārya Sattvaresvara Smadhati Dhānta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupāda ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki Jai. Nāmācārya Śrī Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Śrīvāsādi Gaur Bhaktivedanta ki Jai. Sri Rādhārāṇī Gopinath Sam Khanda Radha-khanda Girivardhan ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham ki Jai. Navadvip Dham ki Jai. Ganga Mai ki Jai. Jamuna Mai ki Jai. Guru Dwarka Dham ki Jai. Swami Bhaktivedanta ki Jai. All glories to the Assembly. All glories to the Assembly. Thank you very much.
All glories to you, Srila Prabhupada. Glories to you, Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you from Srimad Bhagavatam 1:1:1. Narayanam namaskritya naram cheva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayat. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam or Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta, after offering respectful obeisances, 1. to the personality of Godhead Narayana, 2. to the Nara-Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3. to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4. to Srila Vyasadeva, the authors. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, text number 4. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta, the beautiful literature describing the life, activities, and philosophy of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As we've done with every reading and discussion, first we will be reading a few verses from the Adi Lila, chapter 1, text number 18 through 22. This describes the glory and transcendental benefit of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Glory to Sri Chaitanya and Nityananda. Glory to Advaita Chandra, and glory to all the devotees of Sri Gaura, Lord Chaitanya. Text 19. 18 na Thakur Gaudiya ke karye chenayatmasat. 18 era charana vandan tire morenat. These three deities of Vrindavana, Madan Mohan, Govinda, and Gopinatha have absorbed the heart and soul of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, followers of Lord Chaitanya. I worship their lotus feet, for they are the lords of my heart. Text number 20. Grantera Rambikari Mangala Charana Guru Vaishnav Bhagavan Tinera Smarana. In the beginning of this narration, simply by remembering the spiritual master, the devotees of the Lord, and the personality of Godhead, I've invoked their benedictions. Text 21. Tinera Smaraneyai Vigna Vinashana Anayaseyai Nijavanchita Purana. Such remembrance destroys all difficulties and very easily enables one to fulfill his own desires. Text number 22. Simangala charanoi trivida prakar vastu nirdesha shirvada namaskara. The invocation involved three processes: defining the objective, offering benedictions, and offering obeisances. Again, welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta. Today we'll be reading from chapter number 4, text number 90. Sarva Lakshmi Sarva Purve Kariyachi Vyakyan Sarva Lakshmi Gunera Tinho Hanadishtan Sarva Lakshmi Shabda. The word Sarva Lakshmi, Purve, previously, Kariyachi, I have done, Vyakyan, explanation, Sarva Lakshmi Ghanera, of all the goddesses of fortune, Tinho, she, Han is, Adhisthana, abode. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. I've already explained the meaning of Sarva Lakshmi. Radha is the original source of all the goddesses of fortune. Text 91. Kimva Sarva Lakshmi Krishnera Shadvidaishvarya Tandradishtatri Shakti Sarva Shakti Varya Kimva, or Sarva Lakshmi, the word Sarva Lakshmi, Krishnera, of Lord Krishna, Shadvidha, 6 kinds, Aishvarya, opulences, Tanra, of him, Adishtatri, chief, Shakti, energy, Sarva Shakti, of all energies, Varya, the best. Translation. Or Sarva Lakshmi indicates that she fully represents the 6 opulences of Krishna. Therefore, she is the supreme energy of Lord Krishna. Text 92. Sarva Sondarya Kanti Veshaye Yanhate Sarva Lakshmi Ganera Shobha Yanha Oeti Sarva Sondarya, of all beauty, Kanti, the splendor, Veshaye, sit, Yanhate, in whom, Sarva Lakshmi Ganera, of all the goddesses of fortune, Shobha, the splendor, Haya is, Yanha Oeti, from whom. Translation. The word Sarvakanti indicates that all beauty and luster rest in her body. All the Lakshmis derive their beauty from her. Kim va sarva Lakshmi Krishner Shadvideshvarya Tanra Adishtatri Shakti Sarva Shakti Varya Kim va or Kanti Shabde by the word Kanti Krishnera of Lord Krishna, Sabha all, Icha desires, Kahe says, Krishnera of Lord Krishna, Sakala all, Vancha desires, Radhatai in Śrīmatī Rādhārāṇī, Rahi remain. Kanti may also mean all the desires of Lord Krishna. All the desires of Lord Krishna rest in Śrīmatī Rādhārāṇī. Text 94. Radhika Karena Krishnera Vanchita Puran Sarvakanti Shabdere Arta Vivaran Radhika Śrīmatī Rādhārāṇī Karena does Krishnera of Lord Krishna Vanchita desired object Purana fulfilling Sarvakanti Shabdera of the word Sarvakanti this Artha meaning Vivarana the description. Śrīmatī Radhika fulfills all the desires of Lord Krishna. This is the meaning of Sarva Kanti. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master who has opened my eyes, which were blinded by the darkness of ignorance, with the torchlight of knowledge. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Bhagavad Vandanam Khadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadatihi Visheshataham Adadana Srinam Danter Idam Yachi Punaha Punaha Srimadrupa Padam Bhoja Dhulisyam Janma Janmani Sri Krishna Chaitanya Amsho Bhagavato Smyaham Sadadasu Asmi Sarvata Tat Kripa Pikshako Nityam Tat Prishta Shatakaromishvam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. There's an interesting story. When Srila Prabhupada was staying at the Radha Damodar temple in Vrindavan, Mathura district, India, before he came to America, he once related the story how Rupa Goswami Prabhupada came to him one time and personally ask him to go to America to spread the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because we have seen over many, many years how many different devotees approached Srila Prabhupada, became his disciples or followers, and how many persons, unfortunately, could not stick to the path and the process given by His Divine Grace. Vishwakarma Prabhu earlier in the discussion mentioned this point. Now, we're not interested in insulting or blaspheming or engaging in any kind of false criticism of any Vaishnava or any aspiring Vaishnavas, even those whom we may have disagreements with. But we do know for a fact, based on Prabhupada's teachings, Prabhupada's original books, Prabhupada's directions and directives, as well as his own personal example, that he made things very clear how to progress in spiritual life in a very safe way, in a very systematic and gradual way. During the Nectar of Devotion lectures in late October and November of 1972 at the Radha Damodar Temple in Vrindavan, Srila Prabhupada once made a statement that if you read this Nectar of Devotion, this Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu, you are directly associating with Rupa Goswami and the 6 Goswamis. Because we see this point every single day. Different devotees will discuss this point about the need for a physical association. But yet, Srila Prabhupada in so many instances set the narrative in the proper way. We've often discussed how Srila Prabhupada, in the beginning of his Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada, before he came to America, translated the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. The first volume came out in 1962. The other 2 volumes, 63, 64, 65, before Prabhupada set out for America. When Srila Prabhupada was on the boat, the Jaladuta, he brought with him a copy of the original Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta in Bengali, and he was reading the Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta on the boat. Prabhupada often told the story how his Guru Maharaj said that if all the literatures in the world would go missing, if the Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta remained, then everything would be safe. In other words, the knowledge and teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are given in this Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta. Now, the argument may be made, but that was in Bengali. Caitanya-caritāmṛta was not written in English. It was written in Bengali, and Prabhupada, through his kindness and his mercy, translated that book, and his various devotees made tremendous efforts to get this literature published and available to the whole world in 1974 and 1975. This is a very important literature. Now, when Srila Prabhupada said that if you read the Nectar of Devotion, you are directly associating with Srila Rupa Goswami, the implied meaning that if you read Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta, you're also directly associating with the 6 Goswamis, Krishna Das Kaviraj, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. It is non-different than Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The message of Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta is not a distant esoteric message. It is available to any sincere person. Anyone who is willing to hear, it is available, provided the message is delivered as it is. If the message is distorted, if the message is changed, then it's a different story. Srila Prabhupada used to often say that the disciplic succession means to pass down the knowledge, the transcendental knowledge, from one spiritual master to another. He would often compare it to the picking of mangoes in the summer season in India. When the mango is ripe, a person will go to the top of the tree and pick the ripe mango and pass it down to another person, until it is safely received in the bottom of the tree. Similarly, this great transcendental knowledge of Krishna consciousness, of the science of Bhakti Yoga, is passed down from these great transcendental personalities. Everyone has heard the story of how the Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken and received when the Emperor Parikshit, Maharaj Parikshit, decided to fast on the bank of the Ganges for 7 days. He had been cursed by an upstart, puffed-up Brahmin boy to be killed within 7 days. So he gave up everything. No eating, no sleeping, simply hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. So when he sat there, the great personality, the great powerful personality, Shukadev Goswami, came down. He was the son of Vyasadeva, and he had received the message of Srimad Bhagavatam from his father, Srila Vyasadeva. Why are we saying this? Because when this Srimad Bhagavatam was going to be spoken all over the universe, not only on this planet, but great personalities from higher planets as well, all the way from Brahmaloka, Siddhaloka, the planets of the Saptarishis, so many great personalities came because they wanted to hear the message of Srimad Bhagavatam from Shukadev Goswami. This is very significant. This was the topmost spiritual event in the universe. Very special event, that the entire Srimad Bhagavatam was going to be delivered by Shukadev Goswami to Maharaj Parikshit. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Nectar of Devotion, Rupa Goswami gives the example of the 9 great personalities who exemplify the 9 practices of Bhakti Yoga: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam. And the first 2 examples of Shravanam, Kirtanam are Shukadev Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit. Shukadev Goswami was the perfect speaker, and Maharaj Parikshit was the perfect recipient of that transcendental knowledge. Now, we discussed last Sunday of how this message has to be received properly, not with self-motivated interpreters. The example is often given by Srila Prabhupada that this message is just like milk. Pure cow milk is very beneficial. But if that milk is touched by the lips of a serpent, then that milk becomes poisonous. Sarpochistam yata payaha. So this process of hearing the message of Srimad Bhagavatam is considered amrita. It is nectar, it is ambrosia, very, very pleasant and very sweet. But it has to be received from the perfect person, from the bona fide authorized person. Coming back to the original point, there are many devotees who came to this movement. They started to hear from Srila Prabhupada, and then some way or other they slackened their spiritual practices. They deviated from their spiritual practices. Many of them went to hear from various unauthorized persons, various motivated persons who did not deliver the message as it is. And the result is a disaster for the candidate, for the practicing devotee. If you look at all of Prabhupada's teachings, all of his lectures, all of his books, all of his morning walks, there are so many instructions about how to receive the message of Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Caitanya-caritāmṛta. We see that Krishna Das Kaviraj also, he relates the story how Lord Nityananda came to him in a dream, because Krishna Das Kaviraj had a dispute with one of his relatives regarding the exalted personality of Lord Nityananda. And Lord Nityananda appeared to him in a dream, told him to go to Vrindavan. There in Vrindavan, he took shelter at the lotus feet of these 6 Goswamis. Very, very exalted personalities, just like Maharaj Parikshit was very fortunate to get the association of Shukadev Goswami. Similarly, Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami was most fortunate when he came to Vrindavan to receive the association, the direct association of the associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And we see throughout Caitanya-caritāmṛta, at the end of every chapter, Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami is paying his obeisances, Rupa Raghunatha Pabdi, at the lotus feet of Rupa Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, all the Goswamis. There's an authorized process to get this knowledge. It is not an academic process. It is not a scholarly process. It is not a bookworm process. It is not a mundane scholarship process. It is a hearing process from the proper authorities. We often hear every Sunday morning when we have our Bhagavatam discussion, we read that verse from the Bhagavatam, Śrīmatī svakata Krishnaha punya shravana kirtana ridyantasto yabhadrani vidunoti suritsatam nashtaprayeshu babhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. There is a very deep knowledge, very deep instruction in these various verses. We see in the Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada, when he explains the process of bhakti, he quotes these 2 verses and several other verses to explain the systematic process of bhakti. But if one does not hear from proper sources, becomes whimsical, or thinks he knows better than the spiritual master, then there will be havoc. Just like the person who takes the milk, instead of taking the milk, he feeds it to a snake, then there's not going to be a good result. Not going to be a good result. The warning has been given by Sanatana Goswami in the Hari Bhakti Vilas. Shravanam neva kartavyam sarpochistam yatapaya. One should not hear from the non-Vaishnavas, those who are not fixed up in the Vaishnava discipline, in the bona fide Vaishnava teachings, under the shelter of the Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, following the instruction of Prabhupada, not manufacturing their own interpretations, We've seen this from a historical perspective. Prabhupada mentioned this in his purports in the Caitanya-caritāmṛta, in the Adi Lila, chapter 12, about the breakdown of the followers of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. This is also in connection with the historical event that took place with the sons and followers of Advaita-acārya. Krishna Das Kaviraj explains that some of the sons deviated and some of the sons followed properly. And Prabhupada compares that to what took place in 1937 in the post-1937 Gaudiya Math. Now, Prabhupada is not trying to find fault. It's important to note that Srila Prabhupada, in his dealings with his godbrothers and other personalities, was always very gracious, very polite, and very considerate, always trying to bring them into his movement, to engage them in the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But Srila Prabhupada was very, very careful to explain in the Caitanya-caritāmṛta, as well as in private conversations, private letters, and other instructions, what happened when disciples deviate from the order of the spiritual master. Just like the other day, one devotee sent me a request to provide him with a copy of a non-edited, non-interpolated, non-corrupted Srimad Bhagavatam, the fourth canto. So my immediate reaction was, well, let me try to find out. So I contacted one very learned devotee, very expert as finding out, and he sent me a link to the original non-adulterated Srimad Bhagavatam, and I sent it to that devotee. Now, why is it so important? Because Srila Prabhupada did not want his teachings to be corrupted, his teachings to be altered, his teachings to be changed. Now, some people may argue, oh, it doesn't change the teachings, it's just some minor editorial work. You may argue like that, but we see the reality is very different. The reality is very different. First of all, who authorized you to change? Prabhupada did not authorize the changes. Some may claim, oh, Prabhupada said this to this devotee, that devotee, they could do this, they could do that. Yeah, Prabhupada said a lot of instruction. What was the last instruction? Just like if you go to see Srila Prabhupada, and he gives you an instruction in 1972 or 1973, and then Srila Prabhupada later on in 1977 gives you another instruction. Are you going to argue with Prabhupada? Oh, Prabhupada, we can't follow your instruction because in 1972 you said this or that. Is that a very faithful understanding? Is that a proper understanding? One cannot manufacture his own interpretation. Just like the other day, I was doing a little bit of work on the history of Vaishnavism, how evidence of Krishna worship and worship of Vasudeva and Balaram in India prior to the appearance of Jesus Christ. And there are various archaeological, literary evidences that scholars have compiled that there was worship of Krishna before the Christian era. Because as we know, when various European scholars came to India and learned Sanskrit to discuss and analyze the various Shastras, many of them could not accept the statement of the Shastras that these were thousands upon thousands of years before anything they had ever seen. They were trying to date back the Shastras, the Mahabharata, the Vedas, the Bhagavad Gita after Christ. but that is not a fact. Just like we related a little while ago, after the time of Alexander the Great, when he came to India in 333 BCE, some of his followers, some of his generals eventually minted some coins with pictures of Krishna and Balaram. They were actually, some of them adopted Vaishnavism, because Vaishnavism was very prominent all over India at that time, especially in northern India. Many of the great kings, this is a picture of it. There was a king named Agatocles, 180, 177 BC, who published a coin of Krishna and Balaram, Vasudeva and Krishna. Now this is, some may say, well, this is not so, it's very relevant. It's very relevant because it shows how the worship of Krishna and Balaram was there in India before the Christian era. There are also many archaeological inscriptions in Mathura, in Bhopal, India, in many other places in North India, confirming the established worship of Krishna. It is not a fiction. In Sanskrit, it's called kalpana. None of the acharyas have ever described the Leela of Krishna, the transcendental pastimes of Lord Ramachandra, Lord Krishna, as kalpana, or fiction, or mythology. This terminology came from Westerners who came to India with their colonial agenda, of converting the native Indians to Christianity. Now, we do not decry Christianity. Srila Prabhupada was very respectful. He even said it is Vaishnavism in some form. But we are interested in establishing the veracity and the historical reality of Vaishnavism. And this has been established by many transcendental professors, acharyas, and also modern scholars as well. So we won't take up too much of your time discussing this. We'll open things up for discussion, and we thank you all very much for attending these discussions. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much. And further, in the area of quality of a guru, as we were discussing, that is the key for spiritual understanding. Guru Tattva, the truth of the guru. And that is the real value of Srila Prabhupada as a pure devotee, bona fide representative of Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada and the disciplic succession from the 6 Goswamis to Lord Chaitanya, etc. Because the value of gold in the same way is dependent on its purity. In other words, you can go to the marketplace, you can get 10-karat gold. How much is it worth? Well, not very much. But if you go to buy real gold, it's 24-karat. And we were talking to a lady the other day. She says, oh, I'm East Indian. I like 24-karat gold. Of course. Everybody wants pure gold if they've got some understanding of real value, if they've got some culture. Like diamonds, the same thing with diamonds. Rough diamonds, when you make up the manifest for rough diamonds, there's the weight is part of the value, and the color is also part of the value, and the form, the potentiality of the stone to be cut into a valuable jewel determines the value, how much a carat it would be worth. Is it worth $200 a carat, $400 a carat, $1,500 a carat, like that, before it goes into the process of cutting and polishing the diamond for sale. So Prabhupada is the pure gold of spiritual life. Pure gold, unadulterated, the diamond of spiritual life. Is it hard to find a pure diamond? Yes, it is. Valuable diamonds are very rare, so it's very difficult to find a pure devotee. And if you do, you're very fortunate, like we are. Somehow or other, we've come into this situation where we can get deep meaning from Srila Prabhupada into the mysteries of the universe. How many people can give you qualified information about the mysteries of the entire cosmos? Do you find it in Christianity? Do you find it in Islam? Do you find it in Judaism? Compared to what Prabhupada has given us, there is no comparison. This is 24 karat gold. This is the treasure that every sincere soul is looking for. But they're not finding it because they haven't been blessed. As man proposes, God disposes. When you become blessed, Balaram, then by Krishna's arrangement, you find a guru, a bona fide spiritual master, like you did, like we are. This is what the value of this opportunity is. We have the genuine source, and we are respecting it. We're making an endeavor as a group to protect the legacy of Srila Prabhupada. Why? Well, other people are saying chant. Okay, people are chanting. It was interesting. I saw a video today, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, of a guy sitting on a big Vyasa-san. It's circulating on Facebook. And I swear to God, he's chanting Hare Krishna, and he hasn't got the mantra memorized properly. So he starts kind of saying Hare Krishna mantra, and all of a sudden nobody can figure out what it is. I realized it would, later on in research, I found out it was some fellow from Russia who was in a disciplic succession from Bhaktivedanta or Hare Krishna or someone like that. So it's quite understandable that the gold has been adulterated, cut. They cut gold, by the way, if it's to make more jewelry. So it's not, there's other minerals put in. So it decreases the value of the product. So like that, when you cut the message with your own mental speculation, with your own personal motivation for profit, adoration, and distinction, which is called the guru business. We've all been businessmen, a lot of us. And I tell our friends, the people I'm constantly preaching to in my area, that one of the best businesses in the world is the business of religion. Why not? You can pretend to be a guru, you can pretend to be a spiritualist, and guess what? You'll make a lot of money at it. What's the richest organization in the world? One of the richest is the Catholic Church. That's a big business. So religion is a big business. But the real business of the Vaishnava is to give the message of the spiritual master without adulteration, without concoction, without change. Prabhupada has told us over and over again, you just repeat what I've spoken. These books contain all the information that you need to go back home, back to Godhead, and reclaim other souls. in light of the situation, I'm just going to take an extra minute, Prabhus. I apologize. It's slightly deviating off this point, but I did quite a lengthy read today from Caitanya-caritāmṛta. And I'm reading in Madhya Lila, volume 9, chapter 24. And I wanted to read this to us because of the situation of the wars that are currently going on in the Gaza Strip and Ukraine, and whatever wars are going on in other places in the world, which are, I know, more than just this one in Africa, and give us some idea of the philosophical reason why war comes. And it comes from the story of Mriga the hunter, who was half killing animals, and then Narada Muni came to give him some instructions. And the point is this: these verses are wonderful, but the purports are illuminating, and they give us information based on all the Shastras and Prabhupada's connection with Krishna as the transparent via media, so we can understand how to live in this chaotic time. Vinkat Bhatta, if you could go to text 250, chapter 24 of the Madhya Lila, volume 9, chapter 24, page 250. And we'll just read quickly through the purport. Because I want everybody to make the connection between the situation of animal killing and why there's so much fighting and killing going on in the world, and getting that vision from Prabhupada in this amazing purport. Narada Muni continued, "My dear hunter, your business is killing animals. There is a slight offense on your part, but when you consciously give them unnecessary pain by leaving them half dead, you incur very great sins." What to speak, Prabhupada? We'll talk about this. Running slaughterhouses, mechanized. Purport, this is another good instruction. This is another good instruction to animal killers. There are always animal killers and animal eaters in human society, because less civilized people are accustomed to eating meat. In Vedic civilization, meat eaters advised to kill an animal for the goddess Kali or a similar demigod. This is in order not to give the animal unnecessary pain, as slaughterhouses do. In the Balidan sacrifice to a demigod, it is recommended to cut the throat of an animal with one slice. My God, ghastly. This should be done on a dark moon night, and the painful noises expressed by the animal at the time of being slaughtered are not to be heard by anyone. There are also many other restrictions. Slaughter is only allowed once a month, and the killer of the animal has to suffer similar pains in his next life. Similar pains. At the present moment, so-called civilized men do not sacrifice animals to a deity in a religious or a ritualistic way. They openly kill animals daily, by the thousands, for no purpose other than the satisfaction of the tongue. Because of this, the entire world is suffering in so many ways. Here we go. Politicians are unnecessarily declaring war, and according to the stringent laws of material nature, massacres are taking place between nations. Prakriti kriyamanani gune karmani sarvashaha ahankara vimudhat ma kartaham iti manyate. The bewildered soul, under the influence of the three modes of material nature, thinks himself to be the doer of activities which are in actuality carried out by the nature. Very illuminating verse, especially with these examples. The laws of Prakriti nature are very stringent. No one should think that he has the freedom, nobody, to kill animals and not suffer the consequences. One cannot be safe by doing this. Narada Muni herein says that animal killing is offensive, especially when animals are given unnecessary pain. Meat eaters and animal killers are advised not to purchase meat from the slaughterhouse. They can worship Kali once a month, kill some unimportant animal and eat it. Even by following this method, one is still an offender. So, give you all of our group some real insight from the perfect spiritual master, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. And in this further discussion, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhupada saying, one should neither live, it's not good for either them to live, the animal killer, or to die. Because if they keep living, they keep getting bad karma, which will prolong their misery in the material world. And when they die, they're going to suffer millions of births of persecution for the slaughtering of animals. And this is the insight that we get from the pure devotee of Krishna, who is telling everyone what is the problem of life and how to solve it. Not only this problem, all problems of life. Yaśodā-nandana, please.
I think this is a very important point because we see many persons with different political commentaries on the conflict between Israel and the Hamas terrorists. But unfortunately, no one goes to the root cause of the problem, and you just touched upon it. The slaughtering of animals, especially slaughtering of cows, generates very bad karma. According to Srila Prabhupada in the Srimad Bhagavatam, whenever people kill cows, it generates disease, pestilence, famine, wars, all different kinds of things. But people do not understand why that is. They do not see the relationship between their activities and the result of their activities. This is due to the mode of passion, Rajagun, and the mode of ignorance, Tamagun. But we see before our very eyes that this attachment to this material body and this misconception that this land belongs to me, this land belongs to you, it's very easy to fall under the influence of false ego. Even though one may be a devotee, if he's not careful to follow the instruction of spiritual master, he can again fall back to misconception. And we've actually seen this. People thinking, this is my zone, this is my money, this is my follower, this is my area, this is your area, all kinds of foolish ideas. Everything belongs to Krishna. Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, text 29. Suridam Sarvabhutanam. If you understand that Krishna is the friend of every living entity, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, he is the owner of everything, and that he is the person who should be enjoying all of your sacrifices, Bhoktaram Yaktapasam. What will be the result? Yatmamam Shantim Richati. Then you can be peaceful. And if one doesn't follow these three prescriptions, there will be no peace. It doesn't matter what commission you have, what ceasefire you have, what political arrangements you have to recognize the authority of the Supreme Lord, Krishna. And this animal killing is the root cause of all these problems. Prabhupada discusses this in great detail in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the first canto. We're not going to discuss all this now, but very important point. This animal killing has to be stopped. Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol. We have with us Paranjana. He's joined our discussion. Maybe he could share some of his realizations with us this evening at this reading and discussion.
Hi, Bo, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, sir.
Oh, okay. Well, I was having a long discussion with some devotee who wonders why is it that almost all of Prabhupada's disciples seemed to have took a nosedive, after Prabhupada left. And so I gave him the example of Jesus in the Bible, that when the disciples were able to focus on Jesus, they could walk on the water. But as soon as they looked down or looked away or lost vision of Jesus, they fell into the water. So basically, that's what happened to all of our people. They, when they were with Prabhupada, when Prabhupada was here, they were empowered. They were empowered to, do amazing, tremendous service. But when their focus became lost or disturbed, or, even they said the Mahajans lose sight of Krishna. The GBC said that as a way of trying to justify their fall downs. Of course, we know that never happens with the Mahajans. They don't lose sight of Krishna, but we all did collectively as a society. We lost sight of Krishna, lost sight of Prabhupada, and
Can you just check
we fell into the water, and that was the result.
connection,
So
internet
it just
connection?
shows us the
Paranjana,
importance,
you
staying
seem to have
focused
lost
on
your
Krishna, on
feed.
Prabhupada, even if we have to force ourselves to think of Krishna.
Okay.
Somebody was saying,
We'll try to return.
Bo.
Yes, Prabhu, we can hear you. Sorry, you can continue. I think there was a connection issue.
Yeah, something happened there. So anyway, I wanted to read really quickly a little section of the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 2, verse number 14. Tasmad ekana manasa bhagavan sattvatam pati srotibhya kirtibhyas cha deya pujas cha nichada. Translation, therefore, personality of Godhead, who is the protector of the devotees, must always be heard of, glorified, remembered, and worshipped with one attention. Purport: If realization of the absolute truth is the ultimate aim of life, it must be carried out by all means. In any one of the above-mentioned status and order of life, the four processes, namely glorifying somebody, hearing somebody, remembering somebody, worshiping somebody, are general occupation. Without these principles of life, nobody can exist. Activities of the living being means engagement in these different four principles of life. Specifically, in the modern society, all activities are more or less dependent on hearing and glorifying propaganda. Any man of any social status becomes a well-known man in the human society within a very short time if he is simply glorified, truly or falsely, in the daily newspaper. That man, of course, becomes at once an important man. Sometimes political leaders of a particular party are also advertised by paper propaganda, and by such glorifying method, an insignificant man becomes an important man within no time. But such propaganda work by false glorification of a non-glorified living being cannot bring about any good, either for the particular man or for the society. Temporary reaction may have some effect on such propaganda, but there is no permanent effect. As such occupational activities are simply a waste of time. Actual object of glorification is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has created the whole thing manifested before us. We have broadly discussed this fact in the beginning of the Janmadasya sloka of the Bhagavad. Therefore, the tendency of glorifying others or hearing others must be turned for the real glorified Supreme Being, and that will bring in the desired result. Haribol. That's all I wanted to say.
Pardon?
I said that's all I wanted to say. I just wanted to say
Okay,
that.
thank you. Receiving the message from a bona fide spiritual master is the key to spiritual success in the Kali Yuga. We have with us Balaram in Australia. We're going to ask him to share a few comments with us this evening or this morning, where you are in Australia, down under.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Mayapur time, we're actually observing the disappearance of Srila Gaurkishore Babaji. It's coming on to noon, just past noon on Thursday, time Mayapur, and also Śrīmatī. So very, very special. Coming in our line of disciplic succession, Srila Gaurkishore Babaji was the epitome of renunciation. And I just wanted to thank Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu for sharing the wonderful compilations that he's given us on the stories and activities of the Acharyas. So thank you very much for sharing those and sending them out. Very much appreciated. And this is the nature of our devotional service. Actually, we share stories and different pastimes of Krishna between each other, and that's the mood that we actually have to develop. There's so much in the material world that is there to distract us. Maya is she's a faithful servant of Krishna, and she's always there to jab and to try and distract us. But we have to remain very, very solid on this path of devotional service. And hearing all of these beautiful stories, pastimes of Krishna. Now, I was just thinking before we had met Srila Prabhupada, you know, probably a quarter of the way through my life when I first met Srila Prabhupada, who knew that God was such an enjoyer, you know, these wonderful pastimes. And when we understand that Krishna, God, is actually full of 6 opulences, Sad Aishvarjapurna, full of 6 opulences complete. So for one who possesses all those opulences, beauty, knowledge, strength, fame, wealth, renunciation, what else is there to do but to enjoy? Krishna is the supreme enjoyer, Anandamaya Abhyasat. And our problem is that being little jivas, little parts and parcels of Krishna, we also have that same propensity. But the problem in the material world is that we cannot satisfy that. We're identifying with these material bodies. And that is Prabhupada says that's the number one error or mistake that we make. 1 + 1 equals 2, but 1 + 2 does not equal 4. So we make the mistake of the initial mistake, and everything is based on that mistake. So Krishna comes, that's his mercy. Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu quoted that very nice verse, a very important verse. Prabhupada quotes it often at the end of the 5th chapter, 529 of Bhagavad Gita, Bhoktaram Jagatapasam. Krishna is the enjoyer. He's the beneficiary of all sacrifices, and he's the proprietor of all planets and owns everything. So that is Krishna, and he comes Suridam Sarva Bhutanam. He comes as the benefactor and the well-wisher of all living entities. We discussed this, I think, last week also, that regardless of whether one is favorable to Krishna or unfavorable, Krishna is still there. He's still provides, Prabhupada said, he provides, 50 kilos of straw or wheat for the elephants, and he provides a grain of sugar for the ants. So he's providing for all living entities. So we have to see Krishna is our eternal friend, Suridam. Prabhupada, I was hearing Srila Prabhupada actually broke the words Suridam. Rid means heart, and Su is supreme or above. So Krishna actually has the kindest heart. Suridam Sarva Bhutana. He's the well-wisher. So we can only if someone is a well-wisher, it means they've got a kind heart. You do something good for someone. So that comes from the heart, the well-wishing from the heart. That's natural in devotees, in Vaishnavas. They have that natural heart. They have compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. And that we learn that from Srila Prabhupada. I mean, the Acharyas, they have no reason to come to this material world. The pure Sampradaya Acharyas, they have no reason except they are faithful servant of Krishna, and they do this out of compassion for the fallen living entities, the same as Krishna. He comes here for the fallen souls who have turned away. So this is our only lifeline back to Krishna, to understand Krishna's appearance and activities. Janma kama chame divyam evam jovati takvata Chaktva deha puna janma naiti mam eti sojana. Krishna himself says, one who understands the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities, upon leaving this body, does not come back again to the material world, but attains my supreme abode, O Arjuna. So this is in the fourth chapter 4:9, I think is the verse there. So we only learn this from Srila Prabhupada, and we have to take his mercy, become very enthusiastic, develop the urge to hear these messages. And as you were saying before, Vishwakarma Prabhu, the hearing process, every time we hear Srila Prabhupada, it is so nectarine. Develop the urge to hear from Prabhupada, and every day make that part of our daily sadhana, to hear messages from Srila Prabhupada and discuss amongst devotees. So thanks very much for this wonderful opportunity. I think you'll be celebrating Gokishore Das Babaji and Ekadasi. You're in the evening time there, is that correct, Vishwakarma Prabhu? I think.
Yeah, tomorrow we will.
Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah, so
the 23rd.
Yes. So please celebrate that nicely tomorrow. Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, Gokishore Das Babaji ki jai.
I thought that was a good point that you brought up, and I wanted to ask Vinkat to please go to Madhya Lila chapter 24, text 277. That's Madhya Lila chapter 24, text 277 to the purport. Let's go straight to the purport. So as we're down, when a touchstone touches iron, it turns the iron to gold. Parvati Muni called Narada Muni a touchstone, because by his touch, the hunter who was lowest among men became an elevated and perfect Vaishnava. Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur said that the position of a Vaishnava can be tested by seeing how good a touchstone he is. That is, by seeing how many Vaishnavas he has made during his life. A Vaishnava should be a touchstone so that he can convert others to Vaishnavism by his preaching. It's how you preach, how you practice, Prabhus. I had a call, an interesting call, I'll keep reading this, from a devotee in Japan yesterday, Yaśodā. And I want to call you later on that. Very interesting discussion. As we continue to preach, things unfold. And with that, we get a better understanding to how to progress this mission. Just like in Canada here, Balaramji. Because of our work, we've spread the holy name to millions of people here. This is not something, Prabhupada talks about this in this purport. There are many so-called advanced devotees who sit in a secluded place for their personal benefit. They do not go out to preach and convert others into Vaishnavas, and therefore they certainly cannot be called Parsaramani, advanced devotees. Kanishta Adhikari devotees cannot turn others into Vaishnavas, but a Madhyama Adhikari Vaishnava can do so by preaching. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised followers to increase the number of Vaishnavas. This is the work of the Hare Krishna Society and the Prabhupada Disciples Affiliate Group. Yara deki tare kaha Krishna Upadesh, Amara agya Guru Hana Tara e Desh. It is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's wish that everyone should become a Vaishnava and Guru, following the instructions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his disciplic succession. One can become a spiritual master for the process is very easy. One can go everywhere and anywhere to preach the instructions of Krishna, Bhagavad Gita, as it is Krishna's instructions. Therefore, the duty of every Vaishnava is to travel and preach Bhagavad Gita in his country or a foreign country. This is the test of Sparsamani, following the footsteps of Narada Muni. Now, there are other purposes. We're not going to read them today. Lord Prabhupada Yashoda further illuminates these points on how to practice Krishna consciousness effectively in your Prabhudatu Desha, where you live, where you reside, where people know you. You constantly work. It's discouraging. I know that. It's not easy. What to speak of people that are already Vaishnavas of the long term. I'm talking on a regular basis with our God brother Bhagavan now, who was the original, almost the top GBC back in the day. And we're speaking to him. And it's quite difficult even for us to communicate with them what to speak with new people who are completely covered with layers and layers of Maya. It is absolutely unfortunate. But we should never become discouraged. That's the point. Despite the fact that it is very difficult for everyone that's trying to spread Krishna consciousness by giving prasadam and books and chanting like that, then we have some hope that Krishna will shine his blessings on us and them, and will make advancement in spiritual life. It's a matter of effort. Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, if you could wrap this up for us.
I had an interesting discussion in Toronto, Canada, in the late 1980s at the Toronto Temple.
Oh.
Where one member of the self-appointed Acharya Sabha, which I call the LJEP, the Living Guru Experimental Project, pointed out to me this exact quote: well, we have to see the potency of these new gurus by how many disciples they've made.
Yes.
I said, well, that's an interesting point, because some people tell me they've made thousands of disciples and we come to the temple and it's almost empty. Where are these people? And then I made the point, I said, Srila Prabhupada had documented at least 5,000, by some accounts, and maybe 10,000 initiated disciples. Now, he engaged these disciples into his society and wanted these disciples to remain within his society. What have the leaders of ISKCON, who are claiming to be so empowered, what have they done with these disciples? His reaction, well, I can't discuss this right now. I got to go. I got to give a lecture. I said, but the point remains, Srila Prabhupada left these disciples that he initiated under the care of these managers. It is their responsibility, their duty to take care of the disciples and the children and the women and all the devotees. Not this mentality, oh, let them all leave. We've got our own disciples now. They can all go. No, none of this nonsense. So those people that claim that they've made so many new disciples, what have you done with the old disciples? First, let's discuss that. And why have these people gone? These people, the responsibility was the management of these people to make sure they would not go. That's why Prabhupada wanted to establish Varnashram Dharma, not this nonsense so-called guru system, this concocted, self-appointed guru system. That was not Prabhupada's desire. Prabhupada made many requests that the next phase of his society was the installation of Varnashram Dharma, self-sufficient farms for preaching Krishna consciousness. So this is a very important point. And I don't mean to disparage anybody, criticize anybody, but it's important to get the facts straight. It's wonderful that new Vaishnavas are coming. That is very good. But we see that many people who claim to be Madhyamadhikaris are not being very friendly to many Prabhupada disciples. You try to discuss anything, they'll show you the door or beat you up or insult you. Or you try to discuss any historical incidents that have taken place, they don't want to discuss it. Why? Because they know they have a lot of answers to give. Unfortunately, there are very few credible answers that are forthcoming. Hare Krishna.
Yes, and we'll keep explaining the truth in these classes. We have over 150 programs now online with basically the same theme of preservation of the legacy for everybody's benefit. And we're reading the books. We're historically dating the work online for people in the future to understand what is this best way to make advancement in spiritual life. We have quite a few programs, everyone, that we're involved in. We're working on making a magazine. We're working on doing a newsletter. We're working on special programming, podcasts. We're doing classes. So like that, and running festivals and events. We're starting. We're doing what we can with what we have. And we always encourage everyone to step up if you can and be a part of what we're doing. Every effort requires land, labor, and capital. Every effort requires that. I want to make people aware. We have not asked or received one donation in our total effort of 4 years of doing this. And we're not asking for money, by the way. That's not the point. But every effort requires, land, labor, and capital. And this is what we're doing. So if there's anyone that within our group that wants to step forward and take some time and help us with these different projects, that would be a great thing, because we are on a path of revolution, to revolutionize the preaching work of Srila Prabhupada using modern technology. Like some people minimize it, Balaram. They say, oh, big deal that you're on Facebook, that you're on YouTube, that you're on Instagram, that you're in Twitter, like that. Oh yeah, big deal. It is a big deal. Guess what everybody does in the material world these days to promote themselves? What do? They're online, believe it. People that minimize that, they're forgetting this is a real tool. And we are presenting the absolute truth using these tools. And we encourage everyone to step forward if you have time to give us your indications of what you want to do to help the Hare Krishna Society and the Prabhupada Disciples Association to achieve these goals that we've set out. So thank you very much again for your participation. Thank you, Balaram, well spoken, and the other devotees that we had speak, Puranjana and Yaśodā-nandana, of course. And thank you all. Daniel, I see you have a question for me. Maybe we can, I don't know if it was I that quoted it on Facebook, but I have been making quite a few posts lately on everything that's going on. So if you want to call me tomorrow at my number here, I'll be happy to receive your call. Anyone that wants to reach Yaśodā and myself, we're always available, always. No matter when, we're always available. And Vinkat as well. I'm volunteering him. I apologize, Vinkat Bhatta, for that. But, people want to reach out. We're here for you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to the Sankirtan movement. Let's go to the Kirtan. Srila Prabhupada in the 60s as we move forward with the mission of Lord Chaitanya.
Krishna Caitanya Nityananda Śrīmatī Rādhārāṇī Gaur Bhaktivedanta Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasati Gaur Bhaktivedanta Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasati Gaur Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Hare
Rama
Rama,
Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Thanks everybody for participating in these wonderful discussions.